just put the body of my Christmas jumper on hold so I can try it on. I already tried it on once last night and it actually fits really well. The only annoying thing, and I'll show you when I'm wearing it, is that unfortunately I placed the reindeer on the side of the sleeve a little bit too high for my liking. But what I want to do now is block this and see how much it droops and how much the sort of fit of everything changes. But let me pop this on so you can see. This actually is so cute. For some reason, this is really giving Log Lady from Twin Peaks, but I'm not complaining. It's pretty cute. So I've done a few rows of the body here. So the arms are put on hold and I actually love it. I think it looks so nice. The stitch pattern here doesn't line up perfectly. It looks fine, actually. I was worried that it would be too like off center. It's just awkward because the raglan obviously creates sort of like a split. So even though these do line up with where they're supposed to be, they're just like down and to the side a little, like angled a little bit. Now this is what I mean about the reindeer. Ideally I wanted the reindeer kind of like how my mermaid sits, maybe a little bit above, sort of like hit right at the top of the shoulder, but it starts above the shoulder. Like it's just a little bit too high. I think I should have started the antlers about where this line is and then gone down. Yeah, I don't know if it will droop. I think it might droop a little bit just because obviously the stranded stuff on the inside holds so much tension, but otherwise I will in the chart just lower the reindeers. But it does look quite cool. Like it is definitely creating this effect that I was hoping for. I obviously wasn't too well at the end of my last vlog, and pretty much this whole week I've just been out of bounds. I've not seen anyone other than my boyfriend. I've left the house twice I think this week. I think I mentioned we were supposed to have our friends over today for a friendmas. We were going to cook a big Christmas dinner and just host all of our friends, but we moved that to a later weekend just because I didn't really feel like cooking and baking for people when I was ill, and also like having people in my house after I was ill. Even though I feel much better, it just didn't feel right. So instead my friends and I swapped it with our movie marathon weekend, and we're going to do the movie marathon today. I wasn't sure if I could join, but I definitely fell up for it, and I also am desperate for some social interaction with people. I think that would be really nice. So usually the movie marathons are like 9 hours long, and we just hang out at my friend's house, which I love. It's just so cozy. And I think I've mentioned before that my favorite way to knit or crochet is by listening in on my friends' conversations, and a lot of the time when we watch these marathons we are kind of just like chatting the majority of the time. So I'm gonna bring my Eve dress because that doesn't require much concentration, definitely not as much concentration as this Christmas jumper, and hopefully make some progress on this. I don't know if I've done much more knitting since I showed it in my last video, but this is the length of it currently, so I do still need quite a lot of sort of body length to it, but hopefully I can make a good chunk of that today. I've finally been able to put my Christmas tree up. This is quite late for me. I usually like to do it sort of the first Sunday or the 1st of December. But obviously because I've been ill all week and basically haven't left the house all week, I was only able to do it now. I got some new pairs of glasses. This has been a long time coming. I got new prescriptions back in June and I only now bought new glasses just because I was really indecisive and really unsure about them. So I just got 2 pairs from Specsavers because obviously they do their like 2-for-1 deal, and I do need 2 pairs. I usually have one that I use for like reading glasses up here and then one that's just like my day-to-day. So I got this pair, which I do think is actually quite cute. I think I might prefer this one to my everyday pair. I think they're quite nice. They're a bit lighter like in terms of tone than ones I've had before. They're the Stefania pair from Specsavers. And then I got these ones, which are a bit more funky. Sorry, this is such bad lighting. This is a bit better. These are Vivienne Westwood pair and I quite like them. They're sort of like a brown and I quite like this shape, something different. So yeah, you'll finally see me in some new glasses because the other ones that I used to wear every day, my blue ones, they have paint all over them from when I painted the ceiling in this room and I can't scrape them off because they're like an acetate frame. So if I was to like really scrape it, I will literally just make holes into them. Do you guys want to see how my Eve dress is looking? You're in for a treat. Oh no. Where's the rest of it? I frogged it all. I had a bit of a situation last night and I decided to frog it all. A few things went wrong with this. I know I said originally that I didn't want to frog a single thing with this dress.
This yarn is a pain to frog. I would not recommend frogging anything.
I basically frogged like all of this. And then equally, because I'm holding 3 strands, I had to then separate those 3 strands. So I now have these balls of yarn where I've separated every single strand. I stayed up until 3 AM last night doing that because I was determined. Now what happened was that I misread the pattern. This is so embarrassing. I misread the pattern and I held 2 strands of this and 1 strand of this. However, I was supposed to hold 2 strands of this and only 1 of these. And the way that I made this realization was through multiple ways. First of all, this yarn catches like hell and there were so many snags just from where the sequins were snagging it as I was knitting it that it just looked really messy, not like finished to the kind of standard that I wanted it to. And I was getting really frustrated with it and I was like, this can't be right. It just can't be right. At the same time, I think I mentioned before, I had a much less sequins than she does in the reference photo. And I was getting really insecure about the yarn that I chose because it's not a recommended yarn by her. It's just one that I found that I thought was an exact copy of the one that she was using. And so I went to double check to see if I made any mistakes. And that's when I realized I was supposed to hold 2 of the sequin strands, which obviously would create more sequins. I don't know if I can show you, but there's like quite a lot of snags of the yarn like here, and this is just where the sequins were getting caught as I was knitting. It was too much. So you might say, wow, that's a lot of effort to like frog the whole thing. Did you really need to do that? The yarn cost me like £90. So if I'm spending all this money on a project, I'm gonna do it right. I tried on the dress and then I actually ran out of this yarn, whereas had loads of the sequin yarn left over, and I was like, oh, I must have made like a massive mistake when I ordered the yarn. No, I was just using too much of this. But I tried it on and unfortunately it was just too big. I think in the first try on I didn't notice it as much because the weight of the yarn itself, like the weighted dress once you make a certain length, makes everything a lot droopier and a lot wider, and the width around my chest was too much. I know I pointed it out in my last video when I tried it on that the back was quite loose, and I was prepared for that, but I wasn't prepared for it to be that loose over my whole chest and my hips as well. So I was probably a little bit generous with my measurements because it does have a 14cm positive ease and my chest measurement was right in the middle of one of the sizes. So I thought, oh, I'd rather go for that size and with the positive ease go a bit bigger. Whereas actually now in hindsight, with this sort of A-line shape, I want want it to be not super tight fitting around my chest, but to touch my chest at least. So I'm gonna size down in the next version, and yes, I am going to knit it again. It is a lot of effort, however, I know that I'm going to get a lot of wear out of this, and like I said, I am going to do this properly. In the past, I would have put this aside and said, yeah, I'm gonna just try again another time. I now know from experience I'm never gonna finish it if I don't finish it now. I've learned a lot from my mistakes, mainly that I should just read properly. I don't know how I got that so wrong with holding the strands differently. I think I also didn't question it because my gauge was spot on with the gauge in the pattern, so I was like, great. So I don't know what's going to happen now that I have like a different split of the yarn, whether my gauge will change, but that is my plan for today. Knit a new tension swatch for the Eve dress, and I'm also hoping to knit a swatch with some drops air, I think, for a cardigan that I'm hoping to cast on once I have my Eve dress finished and once my Christmas jumper's finished. By the way, the Christmas jumper is still drying. It's looking really good. It has really, like, I don't know, evened out. A colour work always amazes me because it just evens out, but I'm gonna get to that tomorrow. I'm gonna let it dry a little bit more overnight, and then hopefully we can pick that back up tomorrow. I've been obsessed with staying up late recently and knitting into the night. So it's currently 11 p.m. and I'm going to try and go to bed now before I end up staying up until 3 a.m. again. Obviously you saw I made a couple swatches. I was going to cast on my second version of the Eve dress, however I wanted something a bit more like easygoing that I didn't have to massively concentrate on tonight. So I do find that that kind of keeps me awake a lot more and it doesn't allow me to get tired. So I cast on my cardigan, which I didn't plan to do at all this week, but I really like working up this swatch, and these two yarns together are really nice to work with. I've done all of the back panel of the cardigan, so this is the whole back, and then I've just moved round to do the front. It's a little bit hard to see because I just keep everything on my needles rather than put it on hold. I'm quite lazy like that. But yeah, it's just such a nice like soft texture. I love it. I am going to head to bed now, I think, and then tomorrow we might do a little bit more Christmas jumper knitting. I'm kind of slowly coming back out of my reading slump. Pretty much the only reading I'm getting done at the moment is through audiobooks. I did finish Haunting of Hill House on my Kindle. That was really nice. I finished Babel. That one was a 5-star for me. That was such a good book and a really good audiobook as well. I started reading Krampus on my Kindle, but I've also got it on my Spotify as an audiobook, so I am kind of reading and listening to it. I read Eileen. That was pretty good. Quite a good time of the year to read that, or again listen to it on audiobook on Libby. And then I started Audition last night, which is a very short audiobook. I think it's only like 4 hours, but I put that one on hold a little bit because I do want to finish Krampus since this is the Christmas season. It's been a long time since I've read fantasy. And I'm kind of not into it as much as I hoped I would be, but it's not awful. Like, I'm gonna definitely finish reading and listening to it. In fact, I'm gonna head to bed and pick up Krampus where I just left off on my audiobook, and fingers crossed I can get a good night's sleep tonight. It's the next day, in case you couldn't tell, and I have my lemon and ginger tea in my Christmas mug and a mince pie that Ryan got. I fucking love Christmas, guys. This is so nice and cozy. I actually don't really like mince pies that much, to be honest, so I think this might be the only one I'll have this year because they're not for me. The Christmas jumper so far has been blocked and it is looking gorgeous. I'm gonna pop it on. I can't wait for you to see it. I don't know if I can put a comparison like from before. It has drooped so much. Obviously the color work has kind of relaxed a lot more and the strands and stuff behind it. The reindeer, I do still think the antlers should be kind of where his face is, but it's not the end of the world. And I don't know yet if the weight of the arms and the body will kind of like weigh it down even more and stretch out the neckline, which would make the antlers sit a little bit lower. And also once the reindeers are done, I might like where they're placed. Just at the moment, I think they could be a little bit lower. I I'm completely obsessed with this. I have found the tech editor to grade and tech edit this as well, so I can release the pattern in time for Christmas next year, which is so fun. I've wanted to do a Christmas jumper for ages, and I always said that I'd do it next year, and now I'm so ahead, which is amazing. She did ask me why I didn't do a sort of circular yoke, which obviously would have saved the design from like being interrupted. I just don't like that kind of yoke at all. I don't like the fit and the feeling of it, so I am happy to like take the raglan disruption. I still think it looks really nice, and I think especially once the rest of it is done, it won't be super obvious. There's still some smaller details that I'm going to duplicate stitch just because they were so far away from each other. I felt the strands would be quite unnecessary and annoying, but I'm going to duplicate stitch those right at the end. So far the fit of it feels pretty perfect. Obviously I don't want to speak too soon, you never know how it's going to turn out when the body is added. I think I'm going to do that now. I'm going to just go round and round here, add a bit more colour work. I think now that I've done the raglan, this will be easy. Obviously I'll still have to have my chart right next to me, but I have not felt this excited about a project in a very long time. I don't know, I'm just really proud of it, and I'm already thinking about some other colour combinations I could maybe do. I'm going to check with Ryan if he would like one for next year as well, and then we could be matching. I've also made a few more changes to this seating area. I said in the last vlog that I turned this chair around so that I could get the heat from the radiator. It kind of meant that the backrest, which is longer than the side rest, was really peeking out, and because I then had an armrest here, whenever I wanted to get anything from like the stuff there, I just kind of had to go around, and I was feeling really claustrophobic, and then I realised I could just take one of the armrests off. So now I have this sort of like corner unit, and I have my radiator here. I have straight access to everything here, and I kind of like to sort of like pop my yarn and stuff right here as well, so I have access that way. I have access to my laptop that way, and then I also just took one of the lamps that we had downstairs and I took it up here because I can never see when it gets dark out, and it hurts my head when I'm knitting in the dark. So this is like perfect, and I'm so happy with my setup now. Soup and bread. I might sort out all my books of 2025 because I want to get rid of all the ones that were like less than a 3-star for me, and then I can donate them, and then I can also make a bit more room. These are all the ones that I read this year. There's a few more about the house, but I might just go through the shelf and sort them out. I also don't know if people would be interested to hear about my 2025 reads. Maybe in the next vlog I can talk about my favourite books, and I can show you the stack of books that I'm getting rid of. That way I'm not talking about every single book that I've read. Maybe I can like pick up the ones that I really didn't like and the ones that I did really like. I don't know. If you are interested in that, please let me know in the comments, because I don't want to include it if people don't really care about my reading. I was gonna head back upstairs to do some more knitting on my Christmas jumper, but Stitch Fiddle is down. I can't get it to work on my laptop for some reason, so I'm gonna continue working on this old cardigan because this is the only project that I'm currently working on that doesn't need a chart. So this is the only thing I can work on whilst Stitch Fiddle is down, and I really hope it comes back up tomorrow. So I really didn't get to make as much progress on the Christmas jumper as I wanted to, but this is me for the rest of the night, so I'll check in with you tomorrow. I'm going to wrap up this video for this week. I've not really made as much progress as I hoped I would on this jumper. I've had to make a few changes to my chart, which I've done now, and it's all lining up. So I'm now repeating this red snowflake on the body here. I'm just going to keep working on that tonight. But I have made some good progress on my cardigan. I realised I never said what type of cardigan I was working on. It's the one that I'm wearing. I'm just making that in black. So hold on, my yarn's all tangled. I've joined the arm in the round already, and then this is the front. I'll try it on actually. Okay, now you can see it a lot better. We obviously have the front button bands and the neckline. I still need to add some buttons on. I don't know if I'm going to do black buttons or just like my classic tortoiseshell buttons again for a bit of more like contrast in colour. And then I've joined here in the round. I'll later sew together the bottom here and obviously repeat the same on the other side. The cardigan actually works up so quickly and it's fairly straightforward as well, so it's quite a fun project to work on when you don't really want to concentrate on too much. For me anyways, because I've made quite a few of them. But yeah, I think that's pretty good doing in like a week, considering that I have lost one project, the Eve dress, that I completely unraveled. At least I made up for it and I made all this progress on a new cardigan that was on my list to do for quite a long time. But yeah, I think that's enough of all that for this week. Thank you as always so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and hopefully I will see you next time. Goodbye.